All right, what's up, y'all? Thanks for checking out the video. This one is going to be as much for me as it is for you for next season. It is now October 2nd, and I'm going to do a quick walkthrough of the garden. If you look at my channel, you'll see that I've tried to keep up a regular update, right? That talks about, it shows where I built the floating garden box down here, what I planted in it, how I started it. Eventually overgrew on tomatoes, which are all the white buckets down there, and so had to move back here to the backyard, and I'll go through all this here in just a second. We had a tree that was right there that we've taken down this year, and that was really expensive. It was a pecan tree. These are all for the most part peppers and okra on this side. We'll go through them here in just a minute. That is the water barrel, and as you see, that water barrel is taking water from the drain pipe and through that hose into that water barrel. So I'm basically moving water from over there to over here, and I'm using rainwater to for various things around the yard, mainly watering the garden with, but that's really worked out well this year. I'm eventually gonna get another reservoir and maybe run a line further back in the backyard. But yeah, that rain barrel used to be on these rocks. So when we had that tree cut, I just said, you know what, take it down to, I marked it for them, so it's just maybe 2 inches below where that barrel's at. That way it'll all drain through and it'll fill up to the top. Actually, when it's full, it'll run out the sides from the top, so I need an exhaust valve up there. But I don't want to ramble too much. So garden box, thoughts on this? It worked really well. It grew really well. I was worried that I used like a permeable material for the liner. So I was kind of worried that the soil would dry out really, really fast, which hasn't really been the case. I haven't had any root rot in this box, which is great. Basically, I started out over seeding it. I've had to call out quite a few plants over the past few months because they've just gotten too big. The best tomato producer for me this year was the Better Boy tomatoes. I don't know if you can see them in the middle. It goes up and over the wall. It's huge, but that has been a great producer of tomatoes. The bell peppers really popped in July. That's this guy that's sticking up. There's a couple that are hanging over because they've got bell peppers on them. And then there's one over there on the side. So yeah, garden box did awesome. We're gonna maybe move that next year. We don't know yet, but yeah, really happy with how that performed. The little hanging herb baskets there, we need to line that. We need some sort of a liner that's gonna keep moisture in a little bit better. Our issue with them is they just dry. These little baskets hanging on the wall, we put mint and basil in it, and they did okay, not great. And it's just because it would go from dry to wet to dry to wet to dry to wet. So note for next year, line those with something that's going to kind of hold some moisture in. All right, next, just real quick, this is the Muscadine Grape. It is in a container. It's done really well. It hasn't produced grapes this year, but I don't know. I've got 2 grapes in a Catawba and this Muscadine in a container, and I want to plant them on the property somewhere in the ground, but I haven't decided yet. Still clearing out trees and getting sun and getting the backyard the way I want it. So in the meantime, Muscadine on a tomato cage. But it's done really well, and people always ask questions about it when they come over. They're like, oh, what's that? So yeah, that's what that is. All right, now back to the back. I said the Better Boy was doing really good. So this is the Better Boy hanging over the fence, and it's been producing a couple months now. Big, giant, delicious tomatoes. just hanging right off the fence here. All right, so this is kind of a mishmash here. I understand that the tomato cage game sucks this year around. I basically use sticks and braided fishing line to kind of wrap it up. We've had a few storms. These have been kind of, there's some parts in here that are, let me see, bent or crushed from previous storms. Yeah, we've had some issues, but we're getting lots of tomatoes out of them. Note to self though is I do need to keep, I started these tomatoes from seeds all in the white buckets there, and I do need to keep fertilizing them. They will run out of gas every 3 weeks or so, 4 weeks if I don't fertilize them. So that's been a big, something that I've learned this year is just a timing on fertilizing tomatoes. There's a few odds and ends, like this guy right here, and this smaller bucket, this is actually a tomatillo. Let's see, it is fruiting tomatillos. It was late to fruit. I think that that's because the pot is so small. You can see, here's my hand. It's a really small pot for a big plant, so next year go bigger on the pot. Same thing with this. I used one of my blueberry pots for seeding this okra, and it just never got any more soil, so it's kind of like a midget. It's kind of a stunted okra plant. But, you know, it's all good. Just learning through the first season. Down here, still working through. These are my Anaheim peppers, and I'll show you all those in a minute. Are my favorite. They're awesome. They're great to eat. So I'm using this little platform down here as just a place to start some seeds, right? So I've started some Anaheims. Those are starting to do real good. This whole little pot right here is all Habanero. So yeah, I get it. I am seeding in October, but I'm gonna overwinter some plants too. So the further ahead I am for next year, the better. So yeah, that is the game plan with a lot of my bigger pepper plants. Right here's the other grape, Catawba, right next to a cherry tomato plant. But that one's doing pretty good. I don't know, I'm not so concerned with those guys creating fruit this year. I'm eventually, like I said, gonna put those in the ground. So that is this little side garden patch. It's done pretty well. And now for the okra and the peppers. These guys have been awesome. We're harvesting fruits for peppers, okra, you know, every other day. And working that into our cooking. And like I said, using the water barrel to collect rainwater, divert rainwater and collect it over here, and then using that water to water the plants. Why would you do something like that? I guess it's just an old backyard grower's trick, right? That I've been told, and I'm pretty sure it works. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but you know, tap water can be unpredictable as far as what sort of chemicals and how much it has in it. That's why they tell you to filter your water. So rainwater is untreated and doesn't have the chemicals in it. So that's why I'm collecting the rainwater and using that for the plants. First up, this one was one of my first peppers, the fruit. This is it was labeled a red hot chili pepper. It's a cayenne, but it's been cranking out the cayennes all year long. So this one is done really, really well. They are very spicy. Here are some baby Anaheims, 1, 2, 3, that I've started over the past, I don't know, month and a half or so. But my goal is to have about a dozen Anaheim plants next year, because I'll show you, I love those, they're great. These are jalapenos. This one, I don't know if you can tell. Yeah, you can see it. I've been pruning this guy, just right at the fork, trying to get big knuckles and then a nice fork here. This is a Mammoth Jalapeno, and this guy's gonna get overwintered. So maybe I can get an early start on peppers in the spring. But this plant's done really, really well. It was way bigger than what it is. I just pruned it and it's starting to come back now. This is a jalapeno that I started from seed. I got the seeds at Lowe's. You know, they've been kind of spicy, not quite as spicy as some of the other ones, but they've been good. Been pickling those, using those for dishes and food, and they're kind of small, so they're a little smallish to be stuffing. The Mammoth Jalapenos, these guys get real big, so I have been stuffing these guys. Cream cheese or cheese and wrapping and bacon. So if you guys want to see some of my cooking videos, I'm trying to get in the habit of doing those, and I use a lot of this homegrown stuff in those cooking videos, so check those out. These two down here, this is the Scorpion and this is the Ghost. To be honest with you, I made some hot sauce with these guys. I'm not using them in cooking because they're just too hot. They are smoking hot. So yeah, I'm gonna overwinter these two, but I'm probably not gonna have any more hot like crazy hot pepper plants next year, because I don't eat as much as the real hot as I do the milds or the jalapenos, right? The kind of in the middle range. On this stump right here is all, no, the one in the back there is banana peppers, that one. But these two are jalapenos. One thing I've maybe learned about, I don't know, I'm still trying to figure this stuff out, but if you put a really, really hot pepper and it's right on top of a not so hot pepper, the not so hot pepper can be really hot, and then the really hot pepper can be not so hot. So there's a little bit of a cross pollination thing that goes on there, and I'm just trying to learn that. It seems like that's on a young plant, it takes effect a lot more than an older plant, right? Early in the season, I kept them separate. After July, and they had already started bearing fruit and flowering and that sort of thing, I've kind of brought them together a little bit, and it doesn't seem to be affecting them as much, but who knows? I could be wrong. I'm just a hobbyist, right? Trying to get some backyard food that I like to eat. Guys in the buckets right here, man. Okra. I love okra. It is one of my favorite vegetables. And these dudes, 5-gallon bucket. These dudes are like 7.5 feet tall. They're monsters. And I'm getting about 6 or 7, 6, 8 inch okras every couple of days, which is really nice, because that's all, Tristan and I are gonna eat as far as a side on a meal with a, sweet potato and some grilled chicken or something like that. So that's really worked out well. I might have a few extra buckets next year when I do okra. Those I am not overwintering. I'm going to scrap those and then start seed anew in 2021. But yeah, we've got the green okra, and we got the red ones too. This is the red okra. Can't really taste much of a difference, but they're awesome. So, and let me see, I'll tell you, this right here in the blue pot has been my favorite pepper plant this year. That's the Anaheim. That's the one that I've seeded, and I've got little bitty ones everywhere. But this one is awesome. It is, even right now, it has tons of 5 to, I say tons. Last time I counted, it was like 17, 18, 5 to 8 inch peppers on it. They're medium heat. There is a little bit of kick to them, but they're not that spicy. They are freaking great for anything, like stuffing on the grill, chopping up in rings and frying, salsas or pico de gallo. I mean, these Anaheims are my favorite. So next year I plan on having about a dozen of those plants because, you know, I'll eat that stuff all the time. This is a sad little tomato plant. This actually is a branch that came from the box over there. And the branch broke off and hung down, and I put the end of the branch in water, let it set for a little while, for 4 weeks or so, and it started to root. And I just put it in the put it in the soil and set it up, and it's growing just fine. It's wanting to fruit. So maybe we'll get some good tomatoes off of this. I haven't checked the one over in the box, the one that this was cloned from. So, you know, this one's got little bitty fruit buds on it, so maybe the other one is too. But this was like a patio tomato variety. Like they're supposed to say short and stocky, and it just hasn't produced anything as of yet. So, well, I say as of yet, but you know, those dudes right there, can't eat that. So, this was okra damaged in a storm, and I'm gonna keep, you know, all the buckets and stuff, and then reuse that next year. Now with buckets, when you're bucket gardening, perfect size for a lot of plants. Remember to poke a lot of holes in the bottom though. You need to let it needs to drain better than not. Any stagnant water in there can be troublesome. These are my blackberries. They have been bumping since about July or August. The raspberries fruited earlier in the season, and the blackberries are fruiting now. I don't know if that's a, you know, gardener's error on my part, or if it's you know, a species thing. So I don't know, we'll figure that out. Oh, we're up to 17 minutes. Crap, sorry guys, sorry for such a long video. Real quick, this is Habanero. These have been great. The flavor, and they're real hot, but it's got like a buttery, fruity undertone. I may do a few more habaneros next year, but those are my favorites. You know, they're hot, but you know, tolerable for me hot. The scorpions and the ghosts are just not pleasant. Let's just leave it at that. So I've got a few little Anaheim seedlings here going. Hopefully they'll be strong enough to make it through the winter. This is a Gypsy Pepper, never really did too well. It seems to have, I don't know, this guy's been finicky. We'll try to overwinter him and see if he does better next year. And this is the Tabasco. These guys are really hot too. I've pickled some of these. You got to cook these down, or I have to cook these down. If you just chop them, wash them, dice them, and add them to food, they are much too hot for my taste. So, but there it is. A lot of these I'm going to overwinter, like I said, and try to get into 2020 with some big, strong, healthy plants and see what we can do there. So thanks for checking out the video. That is a update for you guys and for me as well. So before I get into 2021's gardening, I could kind of look back and see how I did things and make adjustments and changes. So thanks for watching, y'all. Please subscribe. If you got any questions, let me know. Be happy to help. Thanks.